Hello, in this video I'll read to you my notes from my iPod from January 29, 2013. This was about 15 days before I got Baker acted the second time because of a lie. Alright, the lie was that I was seeing things and hearing things, and just that the spouse wanted to stop me from homeschooling my son, which she had agreed to 2 weeks earlier, but then my mother spoke to her and said DCF is going to take away your children. And so the spouse went to the courthouse, filled out an ex parte paper, and told lies about me. One of my goals is to get the spouse. Why don't cut the grass? I want the spouse to promise she will read with me, and then I will show her the Bible, and then she will understand that she's supposed to be respectful to me, and then she'll understand that she's not supposed to bear false witness against thy neighbor, and then she will go to the courthouse and explain how she lied. But before we do that, I might ask her, or I'll find out myself. We might have to wait a year or 2 years, because if she fills out that she committed perjury, possibly they could put her in jail, and I don't want her to go to jail. So I'm going to see how much time has to pass, so that when she confesses, she won't be thrown in jail. So maybe a year has to pass, or 2 years. Also, the first time I got Baker acted, there was a big portion missing out of it, and that was that the spouse actually drove me around the neighborhood while I was hanging on to the hood of the car. Now that, I believe that the only charge that there is for that is called attempted murder. But maybe there's another charge that is less, that would not be a felony, but that it would be a misdemeanor. But I don't have a phone right now to make phone calls to the sheriff and ask questions. But that is something that should be included in the Baker Act paperwork, because my goal is really to just hang out here until my son is at least 16 years old, because then we can go get the divorce, and then my son can speak plainly and say, I want to go with my dad, or I want to stay with my mom. Either way that he wants to handle the situation. But right now he is young, and most children, when you get divorced, they get, contrary to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the dad loses all rights. The child goes to the mother. And I am my son's shadow. And I really say that. I mean, it takes a lot of energy. You see me lying down all day long on my videos in bed, or and now in this hammock. But what happens is that I chase my son all day long. I really do. When he goes to his sister's room, I say, "Excuse me, sir, what are you doing here? Let's go somewhere else." Well, today we have the what is this? Boy Scouts. There's always some activity. There's no way his mother's going to take him to the Boy Scouts. She's already complaining about her feet. These are activities that only I can help out in. I was the only dad at the Girl Scout meetings. How about that, huh? That tells you what kind of a dad I used to be, or I still am. But now I only do these things for my son. And my daughter, she was upset that I don't go to her award ceremonies and all that. But I told her, you can have the biggest trophy, a 6-foot trophy. It doesn't mean anything if you don't know how to, if you don't have any skills, daughter. If you don't know how to fix a computer, if you don't know how to do anything, web design, desktop publishing, if you don't have carpentry skills or electricity skills, it doesn't mean anything to me that you have a trophy. In fact, one day I will start recording conversations I have. I had a conversation with a teacher at the Catholic Church, and she said to me that her daughter or son, I think it was her daughter, but either way, she said she was upset that as a teacher, her daughter had excellent grades, and not once did she get the award where it says a character award, where you have it's just a breakfast with the kids, an award ceremony for the kids, character, excellence in character or something like that at the school. And she said to me, when she really looked into who are the kids that get these awards, those are the kids that are the troublemakers. What kind of society is it that we're giving awards to the kids that are misbehaving in school? And her kid, which is, I don't know if she was an honor roll student, but it was a kid that doesn't get in trouble, or a good kid. She said she doesn't have any awards. So she was disappointed. Well, I don't tell that particular. Well, she also had her husband. He's one of those that I'm not going to talk to you. So like I was listening to her and I smiled at her husband, but when he showed up. But then I would tell her what I feel. The public school system is really, in my opinion, just for kids that don't have dads and don't have moms. That's all it's for. And at the same time, the one thing missing, if they included a trade school for elementary school kids and middle school and high school, like electricity, carpentry, plumbing, I'd be the first in line to sign up my kid. Because I'll tell them, look, even if you only do this for 2 years as a mechanic and then you quit school forever, you'll be able to at least take care of your car, change the oil. You'll know what's wrong with something, you know. You'll know how to buy a battery, you know, without the guy telling you, oh yeah, it's no good, you need a new one. I mean, you would know something. You would know how to use a multimeter. Alright, so back to my notes. January 29th, I wrote Italian children's piano music. Then I'll be able to speak in code language with my son. I haven't learned Italian, but I figured that I could learn with songs, Italian, like children's songs. And the reason I want to speak in code language with my son is because whenever I tell him something in front of the women, I get yelled at. For instance, I could say something which I did say the other day. I said, son, let's get out of here. I'll talk to you outside. Please, just come with me and then you decide where you want to go. And sure enough, he followed me. And once we got outside, I said, in a few minutes, the women are going to start arguing with each other. Please stay away from your sister, from your mother, and come with me. So he did come with me, and then we did hear them arguing. You see, when people are upset about something, you gotta be wise. You hear your two neighbors yelling, you know that something's gonna go on in a few minutes. You know, the cops and all that. Like yesterday, we had 3 cop cars and so on. And those were my new neighbors. But I really don't know what happened, because it was a mother and son thing, arguing about a cell phone. I mean, totally minor stuff, just minor stuff, but I mean, I have the same problems with my family, right? When the cops came to ask me what was going on, I told them, well, they were arguing about the cell phone, and the grandma was driving the car. The mother and son were grabbing each other, but basically it was like, it's very difficult, really. If the woman has the cell phone, it's very difficult to take the cell phone away from her, because she just moves her body and moves the phone away, and you can't take it away from her unless you throw them to the ground. There's no way around it. So it didn't go to that level. The cops arrived, and the only thing that happened was, as the grandma drove away with the mother of the young man, the mother apparently said, "I love you," to the boy, or the young man. And apparently he had the cell phone, because I heard this boom, and he threw the cell phone at the car after he heard the words, "I love you." So that tells me that they've had a problem for a long time. And you could use the words "I love you" to actually make someone very angry. Today I was thinking of all the things I could have done. Like, I could have grabbed the hose and just throw water over there. Maybe it would have reached. But the Bible says not to get in trouble when two are arguing and it doesn't belong to you. But I don't know. Vernon Kitabu Roshi Turner is an excellent, probably the best martial artist in the world right now. And what he did back in whenever he was a kid, he's a little bit older than me. Maybe he's 50. I'm 40. And I still believe he's the best in the world, even right now. What he did in the 1970s was, or 80s, I'm not really sure when, but he promised God when he was a kid that wherever there was problems, or there was a problem, he would not just stand by, he would help bring peace. And where he got that from was because some girl got raped for 45 minutes in New York, a horrible thing. For 45 minutes, these gang raped a girl. And was it 200, 300 people that saw what was happening through their apartment buildings? Not one of them called the cops. Not one of them did anything. And so he promised as a kid to God that he would not be that way. He would stop it. And so one time in New York, he was walking and he saw 2 different gangs, 2 guys fighting with knives. So he took the knives off of both of them. That tells you how good that guy is, because it's very difficult to take a knife off a person. And 2 of them? Another time, if you read his books, Soul Sword is the one I read. Soul Sword. It talked about how he was teaching this older woman, probably a grandma, something about spirituality. He was teaching her. And so he arrived at the woman's house, and there were 3 I'll say criminals that were going to rob the woman. But he was protecting his student, the old lady, and he said to her, please call the cops, to which the three criminals said, don't do that. And so he was only 20 years old. Now, what happened next was, according to him, to Vernon Kitabu Roshi Turner, was that Kitabu means book, by the way, because he likes reading books. What happened to him next was that the three criminals attacked him with fists and punches, and he just patted each one down, or patted the punches and the kicks down, until the three criminals gave up. And then he asked his student, why did you not call the cops? And then she answered him, oh, they did not know who they were messing with. They did not know who they were dealing with. Whereas she had total confidence in this teacher of hers to be able to defeat these three attackers. Isn't that something? Alright, here's another one that I wrote. Daniel, learn a code language so you can speak with your son privately. Well, I didn't learn a code language. What I did do is I just say, sir, please come talk with me. Alright, enjoy your life. One last thing about Vernon Turner, which was his birth name. When he was a kid, let's see if I wave to the neighbor. Alright. When he was a kid, he used to read the books from the library, and then the bullies kicked the books out of his hands. So he went back to the library and got the karate books. And at the same time, he's a black man in the United States. He went to some church and they told him Psalm 144. Psalm 144 says, blessed be the Lord of my strength, who teaches my fingers, teaches my hands to make war, and my fingers, who teaches my hands to make. Well, the reason I can't state it is because I reversed it because it sounds better in English. So I'll tell you the way I memorized it. Blessed be the Lord of my strength, who teaches my fingers to fight and my hands to make war. It's actually the reverse. It teaches my fingers to make war and my hands to fight. But I reversed it because fingers and F with the letter fingers, and I reversed it because I liked it to sound it differently. And then of course you got to meditate on this, because you're not supposed to change the Bible. But the way I look at it, if you get it translated, and it's translated so many different times now, that if you want to grab something that is useful, like Bruce Lee said, take what is useful. And I changed also the other one where it says, the proverb says, get wisdom, my son, or something. Get wisdom, my son. And I changed that one to buy wisdom. And then I said, buy knowledge. And then I said, buy books. Now I understand. You see, where I said get wisdom, I'm like, where am I going to go get wisdom? But now I understand. You can actually learn about electricity from a book. The Bible says, love God above everybody else, and love thy neighbor as you love yourself. You're not going to cut off your fingers right now. If you're sane, you're not going to do that. God put them there for a reason. You have your fingers so that you could, as Booker T. Washington says, be useful. Learn a skill and be useful. Where would we be if nobody knew how to build a house? like carpenters. Everybody is useful. I'm useful at making these videos. I'm useful for teaching my son how to avoid being homeless at 23 years old, like I was. I mean, I've got a neighbor that doesn't have electricity. All right. He went through high school, but high school doesn't teach you what you need. You need carpentry skills. If you don't have a car, what kind of job are you going to get? It's either a gas station or a cashier or restaurants. So he got a job, but he doesn't have enough money. In fact, they don't even give him enough hours. So we got to help each other in this world. And the Bible says also that, look at the craftsman. He will work in front of kings. So become a craftsman. That's what the Bible tells you, to be useful. Become a craftsman. Go help thy neighbor. All right. Where did the Good Samaritan, where did he get the money? As one lady put it when I was reading The Science of Getting Rich, Rebecca Fine is the one that had the website. Rebecca Fine is alive right now. Opinion, right? 2 or 3 years ago when I heard about her, she was alive. Or 10 years ago, or 5. So Rebecca Fine, she started reading about The Science of Getting Rich, which is an ebook. And the other one, Science of Being Well, by Mr. Wattles. Mr. Wattles has been dead for 100 years, but he wrote wisdom, he wrote knowledge, he wrote information. And in his books we can apply these techniques. I'm reading about Booker T. Washington, and it's 100 years ago that he lived. And he was born a slave and became such a great person. I mean, he went to Holland. I don't know if someone gave him the money to go over there. He went to France. He went to Europe. Now, I also went over there, but I was sent. You know, I was sent by my mama or my mother. And she collected money from the Lions Club, the Kiwanis, one priest, Franciscan friar, the guys that wear it's a brown thing and with a rope around their waist. Now they wear that, and he gave me $3,000 to go on this trip. So now I want to say, God, you did all of these things, but why? How do I connect the dots? What am I supposed to do for the next generation? How am I supposed to help them? So the best help I can give you, since I have all of this free time, I have all of this information, I could take my family and make them into millionaires, provided that we all work together. It's still doable, even now. We've had 7 years of lack, and actually we're just on the verge of losing the house and all that, but we've been like that for 7 years. What happened is one bank sells it to another bank, and then you got to start doing the mediation process over and over again. It's a bunch of hassle. What I recommend that you do is get wisdom, get the books you need so that you learn the skills you need so that you can be helpful to yourself and to everybody around you. You won't get Baker acted if you're a mechanic, or if you're a carpenter, because you are busy doing something useful. You are being constructive, not destructive. When you do anything destructive, like there's the dad that shot the laptop on his daughter's laptop, and he said Facebook parenting. Well, he wasn't angry, not any more than I was when I kicked the door. The problem that I have is that I didn't videotape it. Because if I would have videotaped it, then they say, oh, he's not angry, he's just explaining. But instead of going that way, where you have to explain yourself, just live alone, be a saint, and I don't mean a saint without sex now, because that's very difficult for men. Uh, just walk away from whenever people are arguing, especially your woman. You could say, just like a robot does, will you come visit me today on the phone, right? She says yes, then you get sex. She doesn't come over, then you don't get sex. All right? But you don't have to deal with any anger issues. All right? And live in a tiny house. This is a good advice now. Live in a tiny house with a composting toilet. Here, I wrote another note. February 7th, 2013. Daniel, get a composting toilet that has a barrel under the earth, and I just moved the tent that's covering the barrel to the next barrel and cover it with peat moss or wood chips or sawdust is what we cover it with. Here's another one. I boil and evaporate the urine with a Fresnel lens. I would love to do that. My urine for 1 day evaporated in 2 days. I put it in a black 4 foot by 2 foot, like a little plastic swimming pool with a black one, and it evaporated in 2 days. My 1 day urine, my 24-hour urine evaporates in 2 days. But if I got a bigger, or maybe 2 of those, in Florida, that urine could evaporate in 1 day. And I've seen other families that what they do on the internet is they put it on a windmill with nylons, and the nylon is twisting, picking up more water and drying up as it comes up. Picking up more water. The water is in a bowl here, where my iPod or my hand is, right? This hand. So it twists up and down, and then when it goes up, the nylon is like a sock that evaporates. The tiny home is 7 feet wide by 14 feet long, and 6 feet tall inside, and 10 feet tall on the outside. All right, now that's interesting. But instead of that one, I recommend the opposite of Booker T. Washington. He recommended that you have one house with a bathroom inside. I recommend that you have a tiny house with just for the bed, and another attachment separate, not really attachment, but another just for cooking, and another just for the bathroom, and another just for the shower. The reason I recommend that, even though they could all join, technically join, so that when you go visit your girlfriend and the kids that you have with her, I don't recommend getting married anymore, because every income tax year she will decide what to do with the money, or she will argue about it. And if she's like this spouse, she is the one that does the taxes with the kids' social, like on January 2nd, you know, or the day after the holiday. She's one of the fastest rabbits I've ever met. And I recommend that if you have kids with her, just do your own taxes if you're gonna do their taxes or not. I don't know if you have to or not, because if you're on a bicycle, you know, like the lifestyle I'm recommending is just living in a little tiny home in a bicycle and renting it from your neighbor. But at the same time, being so skilled that people will come and look for you. A mechanic, an electrician that doesn't drive, a mechanic that doesn't drive, a lawnmower repair guy that doesn't drive. But, you know, just being on bicycle, on an electric bicycle, in a 10-mile radius, you could have many customers. You could actually know maybe 2 families per block. All right, enjoy your life. Be better than I am.